welcome back to the Messed Up Movies Podcast, a movie and podcast celebrating filmmakers that embrace the unhinged, the insane, the outrageous, the off-kilter, and the all-around kind of messed up fun you can't take your eyes off of. What's up, everybody? Very excited for today's addition to our lineup. We are joined by our friend Robert Gallegos. He is the writer and producer of a short film we love, Live, Laugh, Love, ironically. Would you like to introduce yourself, where people can find your guys' stuff online, and the movie you chose to talk about today?
Yeah, absolutely. I am Robert Gallegos, the writer-producer of Live, Laugh, Love. It's a short horror film that is making the festival rounds currently. You can find me at Robert_Slobbert999 on Instagram. And
is that one of those high school things that just hung around?
No, actually, it's so funny. It was a character from a children's book that I remember from like when I was like a kid.
Wow.
They called this kid Robert the Slobbert. So I was like, all right, what the hell, you know? Always
okay,
gets a laugh.
Fair enough.
And the Instagram for the film is at Live, Laugh, Love Movie. I would think maybe later this year we'll have it up streaming on Vimeo or whatnot, but we're knocking out some festivals this year. So,
hell yeah, amazing. So you actually met Heath when we played a festival together. Right. Chicago Horror Fest, was that the one, Heath?
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, we were like immediately kindred spirits because I think we were the ones that were really kind of making sure that we were keeping the bar in business.
Oh hell yeah, dude! One of us.
It was my first film festival too. So
no
it was,
shit, was it?
Yeah, that's incredible, man.
Well, Live, Laugh, Love is the first thing I've ever done.
Oh, really?
You might have said that. Now that is even more amazing. So we'll do a Filmmaker Friday episode and get into more of this because I want to explore it.
Yeah,
we should
this
probably
is a time travel scenario. You'll have to look back for that. That'll happen before this comes out. So when you love this episode, you'll want to go back.
But just to put a bow on it, yeah, we met, and that's hilarious that was your first festival because it looked like you were owning the room. You were like an old pro, but it was on your home turf.
It was on my home turf, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it was on my home turf. Yes.
But we had a good time.
Well, hell yeah.
We did.
Would you like to talk about, I'm sure also Live, Laugh, Love, but what is the feature film you chose to bring to the Messed Up Movies podcast today?
The feature film I chose to bring was the Maniac remake with Elijah Wood. It's
messed up.
Pretty messed up. Yeah, pretty messed up. And even on a rewatch, even more messed up by today's standards.
Yeah, this is one of those. I remember Maniac was kind of a legendary film when I was a young guy, like looking for VHS horror. Maniac was one of those legendary, iconic posters in VHS boxes, right?
Yeah.
And so I remember finding it, and I was like, all right, it wasn't necessarily my cup of tea. I've actually come to like that movie more as I get older. Maybe because I am starting to look more like Joe Spinell as I get older. I don't know. I remember seeing this one in the theater and being really blown away by it. I gotta say, rewatching it today, this movie is fucking mean. And it doesn't have that kind of fun layer of camp that the original has. This is just a real down and dirty, mean as fuck film.
Yeah.
And I found it way harder to watch today than I was expecting.
Yeah, for sure. I had seen the original Maniac. I think it's when I don't know, maybe like Dark Sky or something was re-releasing all these 80s movies. And that was the first time I saw it. And I remember it being really kind of scuzzy and dirty. Just like the feel of it almost felt a little Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer-esque. I felt like it was like kind of wanted to like shower after I was done watching it.
Yeah. When you're in the room sweating with Joe Spinell and those mannequins, you can smell that room.
You could smell.
Like, dear God. Yeah.
You could smell Joe Spinell.
Yeah. That's probably the worst. It's either that or Gwyneth Paltrow's pussy candle. Those are like the two worst candles. You can imagine Joe Spinell smell, Gwyneth Paltrow's genitals. Pick your poison. Yeah, it is. I think that's the weird one about this one. I'd love to get. So why did this movie call out when we were trying to figure out what to talk about? What about this remake works so well for you?
I think it's so fucking gory. It's like just ridiculously gory. The kills are over the top. It starts out with like a boom, like just like a I think there's always something about seeing somebody get scalped. And it's like one of the
Yeah.
most cringeworthy things, to see on screen. It's very visceral. It's like if you see somebody get their fingernails removed or an Achilles
Oh yeah.
heel or something like
That's
that.
the one that gets me every
The
time.
Achilles got me. I
The
actually like
Achilles
turned
every
my
time.
head. I was like,
Yes.
"Bleh." I knew it was
Yes.
coming. I couldn't.
Yes.
I will say though, I'm shocked how few movies do the scalping, especially show it in this detail. Like
Right.
it's kind of a baked in the cake, like American Kill,
Yeah.
right? Like we came here and fucked around, and then we found out and got scalped, right? It feels
Right.
like that would be everywhere, but it is one of those kills. It's like it's very overpowered in our country's imagination, and you just don't see it in that many movies.
Right.
And like especially when he gets the old broad in the bathtub, she's like he's holding her, she's screaming right down the barrel, and I was just like, dear God.
Right. You're right. I think that's probably like the best way to describe it. It is a very mean movie. And there's like yeah, there's just very few people have seen it that I know that are just regular film fans, maybe a lot of horror fans, and even some horror fans haven't seen it.
Yeah,
Um
it does feel like one of those that kind of got lost somewhere. I think this was like we were kind of starting streaming, but not really. I think it just kind of got lost in that changeover period.
right, right. And it's definitely one that um I don't show people very often because I need to like my girlfriend now. I actually was telling
Oh
her that
no.
I was doing this podcast, and she's not a big horror fan. But I told her that I was doing this podcast, and I was like, "Oh, I'm doing this movie Maniac," and I sent her the IMDb, and it's this, it's the mannequin, the naked mannequin, and it just says Maniac or whatnot, and she just writes in the text message, "Oh dear." Yeah,
Yeah.
this movie's definitely not for you, babe.
Well, there are certain horror movies that are fun. Like you turn them on with your friends, you pass around, a party favor, you have some beers, you can laugh at the carnage, right?
Mhm.
Something like Society, right? Something like the newest Evil Dead, right? Like tons
Mhm.
of blood and gore, but they're fun to watch.
Right.
Maniac is something I would not want to be in the room. Like you almost have to be by yourself. And it's kind of a chance for you, like, why do I like this stuff?
Right.
Why do
Right.
I, as a horror audience, love watching these women get ripped apart? It's one of those very self-reflective kind of horror fan experiences.
Yes.
Because you're told it's Elijah Wood's Maniac. I am shocked how little he was in this film. I guess the tool of the Maniac POV
Yeah.
had kind of gone away in my mind. He was a much more outsized piece of the movie
Huh.
in my memory than it felt watching it today. What did you make of the kind of sparse, like we usually only see him in reflections, right?
Right.
What
And
did you make of this device?
I think that's what I remember seeing the trailer for this. And I remember it saying that, or at least like one of the things surrounding the movie was that it was all from his point of view. And you only see him
Right.
in reflections and whatnot. And I thought that was really cool. I think it works. I do like how during some of the kills, it like the camera spins around, you actually see him, and it's not in his POV.
There is a weird, I can't tell what it is narratively.
Mhm.
I was going to ask you that. What do you think the thing is that untethers us from his point of view and pulls the camera out? The closest I could come is that that's the spirit of the victim leaving the body. And so now we're kind of getting the spirit's POV for a moment, and we see him unchained. It starts happening a little more as the movie goes on, but for the most part, it's
Right.
pretty sparse.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I never thought about it that way. I thought about it as just a gimmick that the
It's just a movie making. We're paying Frodo. We're getting Frodo.
the cinematographer, the director was like, "Hey, during these moments, I want it to jump out, and I want you to actually see
Yeah.
how he's reacting to these murders." So that's how I kind of looked at it, as more of a stylistic choice
Yeah.
of like taking you, or maybe to break up the monotony of just seeing him in reflection. Because I mean, there are some times where you see him in reflection, and you're like, it almost seems a little forced. You know?
Yes, and it is the tricky part of these POV movies like this. I think one of the things, the reflections, it gives us, the audience, a chance to kind of cleanse our own palate, right? So we don't feel as disgusting as we stalk these women.
Right.
Like everyone he's in the closet of, it's like we're seeing tits or whatever.
Right.
There's a real gross voyeuristic element to that device, right? When we see him, we can push all that guilt back onto the movie star, and we, the audience, are absolved. We're just here for fun. What you're doing is gross. What we're doing is entertainment, right?
Right.
And I do think there's some nice, but as the movie starts to slide, right, we start to see a little bit of, we see kind of memories of him when he's young. We start to see him as a boy, him as a young mannequin. So it feels like as the movie's going on, the camera is getting a little looser with that direct POV because his worldview is getting looser.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense, or am I just reaching?
No. I agree. Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I honestly think, I feel like the scenes when he's a little kid are so fucking disturbing. Like when he's like in the closet and he sees his mom, and his mom is like doing coke or whatever and having like guys.
Can I pause here? Are you a parent, Robert?
No.
Okay, so I will take the part of defense lawyer for the parents.
Okay.
This little fucker blaming his mom. She's raising him. He got food. He made it to adulthood. So what? On a Saturday, she wants to do some blow and get railed in a threesome. That's her goddamn right as a single mother. This movie unfairly saying mom sucked and that she's somehow responsible for him scalping these women and making mannequins, moving the mannequins around like they're eating each other out and talking to his mommy. That is not mom's fault. You want to get blasted around the corner from the bar by a stranger? That's a grown-up thing to do, man. I think this movie unfairly is rude to parents. It's hard out here for parents. When you can get it, you get it.
Someone's projecting.
That's a parent rule.
Someone's projecting.
I am fucking... dude, you don't understand the amount of times that I have put things in front of my door like I'm in a zombie movie. Just to try to have the most quick and uninspired sex ever. Just because you're like, well, we're married, we might as well. Because you're afraid your kids are going to come in, dude. That is a real thing. And I felt not for Elijah Woods. I didn't watch that and be like, oh, yeah, his mother drove him to acts of carnage. I was like, his mom probably worked all week as a secretary, right? She's getting shit on left, right, and center. She's not making much. Where's the dad? Oh, okay, you just want to get fucking plowed? Yeah, so does everyone. That's why bars exist. It's a whole boutique industry of going to get fucking filled up of spirits and people. I was appalled.
Let's just say this. She just liked to party. Okay. She liked to party.
Yes.
He's his own thing.
She liked to party. Here, I will immediately revoke my entire defense if the movie's saying that part of her kink was to have her son watch. Which I'm assuming because he's an unreliable narrator, he's forcing himself in where he shouldn't. That is weird. That part I'll give you is weird. But I think the overall point stands. Sometimes mom's got to get hers. That's what I would say. I thought that was a wild addition to the movie. Robert, I'm going to ask you this too. At one point, he even says, he's like, I think the exact line, he's talking to the old broad. He's like, do you think that I wouldn't know? Do you think you'd change your fucking hair and your makeup and you'd fool me? I wouldn't know it's still you, Mom. Well, this one is one of the more disturbing kills, right? The art exhibit lady.
Right.
He starts like hugging her. He starts slowly running the blade, which makes these little like gashes.
Yes.
That one is so fucking personal and gross. And then, of course, he scalps her right in front of the camera after he nearly drowns her.
Right.
That moment, though, when he goes, did you have to do all of them? They never loved you. Not like I loved you. Did you take that as like an inspiring, like, kid just loves his mom thing? Or was there something extra in his delivery of that to you?
Honestly, I feel I've always thought it was a little Norman Bates-esque,
Yes.
like obviously Norman Bates, there's definitely a sexual element to how he feels about his mom. And I feel like it's kind of the same thing here. Yeah.
I feel like this is something Freud infected our society with, right? This thought that we all secretly want to bang our mothers. I don't think that's the case. I hope that's not the case for everyone. But this guy definitely did and was not happy that other guys were running up on the milk farm. You know what I mean?
Right.
And he was pissed. I want to walk through some of this, though, because, again, I think the thing I would give this movie a pass for, again, this is not the kind of horror movie I would recommend to someone, because I think it's one of those you're telling on yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? This is one of those horror movies that, like, if I showed this to my wife, she would be legitimately pissed. Because she's like, now I can't walk to my car by myself for 2 weeks, right?
Right.
Like, there's a grossness to this.
There is.
So what about the way the violence is unfurled in this, right? Because to me, in the original Maniac, Joe Spinell is more the center star of the film.
Yeah.
Screaming and going nuts and whatever. Again, it gives us that distance.
Right.
What do you think the movie did so effectively when it comes to how we capture and torture these women? Like, I'm thinking specifically that trapping her in the car park scene is fucking horrifying.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think the movie did so well to capture this vibe?
I mean, I think even like from beginning from the start, I think from the opening, where he's just driving around and you're seeing him that's what he does. Dude. He cruises around and he finds people, he looks for people, he selects a woman, and I feel like it's, it puts you, for lack of a better example, in the driver's seat of just watching how this person goes through life. And I mean, I hate to make this comparison, but it's kind of almost like a precursor to like a like In a Violent Nature or something like that.
Yeah, where there is this because even before that, right? That, like, as he's watching her from afar, right as the movie starts,
right,
this lady's just standing there minding her business, and some guy walks by and gets fresh.
Right.
And he's trying to cop a feel and shit. So even the non-serial killer predatory monster still fucking sucks. It's one of those things my wife told me years ago. She's like, I think it was a Louis C.K. joke, right? If we're still allowed to talk about those. But he's like, it's just different for women, right? Every time they leave the house, they're just surrounded by these like 200-pound angry bears, right?
Yeah.
And I always told my wife, she's like, you're never afraid to like walk to, because we used to live in Hollywood, right? And you'd walk to wherever your car. She was like, you're never like worried about that? You're not checking cars? I was like, no, no one's going to haul my giant, almost 300-pound ass into like, what are you talking about? Like, it just is never a thought. And you watch this woman this guy's kind of taking a nibble. He chases her away. And then we start this monologue device where he's like, I know where you live. I'll see you soon. And you're just like, oh,
right.
It's such a disturbing tone immediately.
It's almost like still like the danger's still there. You know what I mean? Like the danger.
It's just omnipresent. Wherever you go, he'll be there
the whole time, regardless. Like we think that these guys on the street are going to chase you, are going to rob you, are going to rape you, whatever. But the danger was always there in Elijah Wood's character.
Yeah, well, it's an out of the frying pan into the fire, right? You might escape this, like, frat style assaultist, whatever the fuck he is. There's just another one, right? No matter where you go. So the car park scene, this is another thing I thought was fascinating. I would love to get your opinion on. I think the emptiness of this city is such an interesting choice, right? Clearly you have to make it empty, or else Elijah Woods is like 5'2". He's getting rocked and captured and whatever, right? The amount of scenes where people are running through urban settings, recognizable urban settings, right? Los Angeles settings. No one is there. They're screaming. No one comes to their aid. When she's in that car park, you're like, there are 200 people in those apartments lining this place that I'm seeing. We see a guy walk past at one point in the background of that. No one stops to help her. What do you think the emptiness of this, what should be very packed environment, adds to the film?
I mean, I think it does add to like the isolation of everything. I think the fact that I think it makes it all the more creepy too. I think like especially the scene, is she running through like a train station that's completely empty?
So it's like a subway stop. He's kind of stalking her through that.
Right.
And I believe he had already been in her apartment earlier that night.
Mm-hmm.
Then followed her out with her friends, and like, so he's been on her ass for a while.
I think too that I feel like the whole film is very dreamlike. It doesn't seem like it's like you would see, like you said, like I'm from Chicago. There's people everywhere. It doesn't matter if it's
any
2
time
o'clock
of the
in the
night,
morning,
dude, there's
3 o'clock
someone
in the
out.
morning. Somebody's going to be around, and I think that it really adds to the whole dread and the whole eeriness of everything to have it completely empty. But I still do think, I mean, realistically, and I'm pretty sure I've watched this with somebody who was like, there'd be people around, or there'd be tons of people around,
Right.
and I was just like, I think the whole film, and I think the whole film is like a dream.
Yeah,
from beginning to end.
That seems right.
There's it's very surreal. You don't know what's real, what's in his head, what's not in his head. What are we seeing? That kind of thing, you know?
Well, it's a whole subjective exercise anyway, because he has like hallucinations, he has flashbacks, and so Griffey said it earlier, he's an unreliable narrator.
Right.
So you don't really know. Yeah, maybe he is having an out-of-body experience. Maybe none of this is real.
Right.
I mean, that kind of is open to interpretation at the end too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, because he goes from seeing these visions of these women ripping him apart and his mannequin body underneath, and then we start seeing these orbs of light, and then they are kind of a SWAT team, but he's in the corner, so we don't really know even at that point. Now we're back in kind of the subjective. The camera's just sitting dull in the middle of the room.
Right.
Showing us things. Right. It's almost as if he has stopped running the projector of his own mind. So maybe it's real. We have to guess. I would say that room is probably the closest to seeing him that we get, right? Mm-hmm. If this movie had a problem to me, right? There is one thing about this. It's so goddamn emo, right? And Elijah Woods is such a petite man, right? Nothing against him. He's perfectly fine in the movie. But there's something about watching such a tiny man. Just, mommy, like he's doing the long legs, mommy, right? It's like, he just like, I get it. Your mom liked to get fucking railed, dude. What else do you got for me? There is a little bit of that at times where it's hard to latch on to him, right? It's weird to say that Joe Spinell, whatever the fuck he was doing in that movie, right? His volcanic cartoonishness was more human to me than what Elijah Woods was doing, because it's more subdued, right? It feels like the kind of thing that's more of an artistic choice. But I think there's a little bit, I wanted to see more of him and the blonde woman, the photographer, get into it a little bit. Because there's this really cool moment at the start when he meets the girl with all the tattoos, right? The red-haired girl who's seducing him in her apartment.
Yeah, and I want to go back to that scene, but go ahead.
Yeah, because he's Mr. Timid guy, right? And she's pulling him out of his shell, this, that, and the other. And after, the death happens, he just sits there and he goes, why do you have to ruin everything for me? Can't you let me have one? He's talking to his dark passenger, which I'm assuming is his mother in his mind. Right. We know that there's a guy in there who just wants to make antique mannequins and have a girlfriend, it seems, have a normal life. So I thought the movie, but then after that scene, we really don't get back to Elijah Woods battling the darkness, trying to find any bit of, there could be an island in the storm, right? And I think that's what this movie missed a little bit for me.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, because then he starts to scrub his hands with the steel wool. Is that that part?
So he starts doing that because in that scene, she's like, hey, squeeze my tits. And he's like, okay, I'll squeeze your tits. He puts his hand on it. He looks like a full leper, dude. Right. Like he's got Deadpool hands. I'm like, does she not notice how much blood and open wounds are all over his hands?
Every time I see the movie, I think that. I'm just like, come on. There's no way.
If someone was squeezing my tits and I saw even a drop of blood, I'd be like, whoa, timeout. Television timeout. We got to address this situation with the Jurassic Park Band-Aid or whatever. This dude's hands are completely non-covered in skin. Right. She's like, squeeze my tits. I was like, well.
Nails are all dark and crusty and stuff.
Yeah, he's got it all like embedded. I was like, man, she must be real hard up. Like, I've been there, but I'd like to think I'd still have the like ability to resist whatever fucking Elijah Woods is dishing out.
The thing that bothers me about that scene is the use of that fucking song from Silence of the Lambs.
Okay, so that is a little on the nose, right?
Yeah,
when you're doing that,
like, you can't use that song unless
in a remake.
unless it's a parody like they do in what Jay and Silent Bob or whatever,
Yeah.
or if it's in. I mean, I can't even believe that that song is in. When I saw that the first time, I was like, come on.
It feels a bit, because again, it feels like if you're paying tribute to it, that's fine, but this is a remake of another movie you're trying to pay tribute to.
Yeah.
Like, we get the great shot of Elijah Wood holding the scalp that looks exactly like the poster in the car reflection. So it's like you're already paying tribute to one movie.
That was cool, yeah.
If I had another thing, I was like, dude, Elijah Wood is a maniac. If someone is down by your area, right, giving you oral copulation, that's a wild-ass time to start trying to strangle someone. Humans have predator teeth, and she could rip that thing off so fast. I was like, this guy is insane. Like, I'm scared now for the rest of the movie. I was like, that was one of the wildest choices. Because, again, not to harp on this, I realized I'm a sizist, right? Like, as good as Robert Pattinson was in Batman, I was like, I could beat up 4 Robert Pattinsons right now today. Overweight, bad back, smoker. I would rock 4 Robert Pattinsons, no problem. Elijah Wood the same. I was like, dude, he's way too small to be doing cane maneuvers on people trying to have sex with him. It did bother me the whole movie how petite he is.
Very true.
It did really bother me.
Yeah, I think, and I think too, like one of the things that I thought, like as far as Elijah Wood and the casting of him, I think it was so against type, I feel like. And this was, I think this might have been one of his first horror movies. Because I know he did, what is it, Come to Daddy? Is that another one he was in? I think.
He was in The Good Son.
Right? Oh, yeah, he was in The Good Son.
So
that's right.
That's going way back.
Yeah.
That's way back.
So he's
that's
got some old creds, yeah.
Right.
But again, I think this is the movie, like Daniel Radcliffe did a lot of this too. Again, I know those guys get it mixed up for each other. But it's that I made the biggest franchise on earth. Take some time off, and then what really is going to get me back?
Right.
In a weird way, he's kind of playing like a human Smeagol in this movie, right? Like he's talking to himself. He's like, yes, the precious. And it's like, but this is the thing. He's like, dude, I've got Lord of the Rings money. I'm set, brother. I was
right.
And then he gets this. He's like, you know what? I loved Maniac. I like this idea. I like an idea about going into the darkness. And I give him a lot of credit for going there, right? Like I think his performance, I don't know if it's calibrated perfectly with the film.
Right.
But I liked what he was doing. I think the movie needed to give him a couple more landing spots to make what he's doing have a little more impact.
Yeah.
But I thought he was really good, man. And in the scenes where we see him, it's not just all brooding in the mirror. There's some real moments where even in brief glimpses, right, we're seeing him go through like a wide swath of emotions.
Right.
So I did really appreciate the work he was putting in.
Well, Elijah's a dang-ass freak, though, too. I mean, he's like a true horror fan.
Yeah, he's a big horror guy, right?
Huge horror guy. Like, I mean, if you even think, I'm scrolling through IMDb right now, because he had his company that I think put this out and a lot of other stuff. And, you know, he was in Sin City, which I think had the most messed up moment of that whole movie was his character.
He was just in The Monkey.
He was, had that one little bit part in The Monkey. Where does you're kind of right. Where does it start?
I feel like Sin City was before this, right?
It was.
So that was the first time I saw
when
him.
Sin City hit,
That was the first time I saw him as like a villain, was in Sin City, I think.
Yeah, and in that one, he's just like literally a flat cartoon caricature. This one is not that. This one, he's really, like, he's ripped the kind of mask off, as it were. And he's delving in pretty deep to what the psychosis of these fucking crazy bastards is.
Right.
So again, to me, you can't possibly compare it to Frodo. Like, that will be the first line of his obituary. That's one of the greatest cinematic achievements ever. This is the best thing he's done outside of Lord of the Rings to me by miles. I thought he was so captivating for how sparse he was in the movie.
Yeah. So I have a question. So this is another reason why I picked this movie. I really wanted to talk about this. The score.
Dude, yeah. This was one of those first, like, it felt like this movie was ahead of the kind of synthwave rebirth.
Yes.
That we were going to be back on, right? Like, it's a little Knight Rider-y to me at times.
Yes.
Like, this very concussive thing. I was like, hell yeah, dude. I loved the score of this. And it felt like it got there. Like, now every movie, every low budget's doing like a John Carpenter style synthwave.
Right.
This felt like it got there early. And it is a very stark and noticeable addition to the film.
Right. It's one of probably one of the scores that stuck out to me. Mm-hmm. And it's by this French composer that goes by R-O-B. And he does a lot of work with Alex Aja, who does those who I think Alex Aja was a producer on this too.
I think
Maniac.
He was one of the writers as well.
Yeah. And he did the score for Horns, which is the Daniel Radcliffe movie.
Yeah.
And I feel like he did another French, maybe not another Alex Aja movie. Anyways, but that was the first, especially the piano stuff, like when he's cruising in the car and whatnot. That was one of the first scores that I heard that sounded like that at the time. I think this movie came out in 2012, maybe, and it was like I mean, I still listen to the score sometimes. Like if I'm writing or something like that, I'll listen to it.
That's awesome.
I have the vinyl that Mondo put out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I actually have it right here. This is the artwork is pretty messed up.
For the YouTube people,
I don't know if you can see it.
Oh yeah.
Oh damn, dude, that is fresh. Back. Well, thank God you said you already have a girlfriend. That'd be a red ass flag for any women who came into your life. No, again, I think it's kind of like a beefed up John Carpenter feel, right? I was watching something. I can't remember. I think it was the Greatest Horror whatever on Shudder. They do this weekly show.
Oh yeah.
They talked about the brilliance of Carpenter's scores. It's not monotonous, but the repetitions, right? It's not a score that's trying to be a big musical movement that ends in crescendos. It's more just setting the kind of muscular heartbeat of the film, right? That repetition builds in and helps us sink in on some kind of like psychological. I am not musical enough to know what the levels of that are, but I think this one felt that same because every time it would kick in, you'd be like, oh shit, we're doing Maniac stuff. Like I immediately knew what they were putting me in the headspace for.
Yeah.
And it changed my visceral reaction to the movie. Yeah, I thought the score for this was exceptional.
Yeah, that's another thing that really drew me to this movie. Outside of the beginning, the first kill, just like when I saw that, and I didn't see it in the theater. I saw it when it was streaming, and I saw that scalp with I was just, and then it just goes Maniac.
I forgot about the first one because he pops the circuit breaker, right? And so she's walking around. There's people walking around, and you just watch this woman like, please be okay, please be okay, please just be a normal night. And she turns, and as she starts screaming, shot like that under the chin, knife up, that interrupts the scream.
Right.
And then you had this Maniac.
Right. I mean that and then he does the scalp and it just like he pulls it back and she just falls. Oh man. Yeah. When I first saw it, I was like, whoa, this is what we're in for. Okay. Yeah.
It's funny that I feel like this is such a hard little niche to hit. I was not a torture porn kind of guy. And I don't think this one falls into that, but there's something about, I don't know what the equation is, right? But there are certain movies that try so hard to be hardcore.
Yeah.
And they just end up being cartoonish to me.
Right.
Like it's just they're trying so hard that it's not really intense or visceral to me.
Yeah.
And I know you mentioned Henry earlier.
Yeah.
I think that's the one where it's like that movie's so fucking disturbing.
Yes.
But they're not trying so desperately to go over the top. I think this is a great example of this is absolutely gut punch stuff to me.
Right.
But it's one of those, like, you can go too far on this. I don't know what line they decided to cross and not cross that made this one just right for me. But this is as intense a film watching experience as I've had in quite a while.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the emotion and the character. Well, the emotion of his character. That it very much it does have I always like to say that the difference between, like, you know, some of the US stuff and the stuff from France, like if you talk about High Tension or Inside, Frontiers, those movies, is that you care about the characters, or there's an emotional draw of the character. They're not just caricatures, you know. There's like some emotion there where you kind of like I'm not saying that you feel bad for him or anything, but I'm saying that there's enough emotion there that the kills don't come off cartoony, you know? And it's like you're watching him stalk these people. You're watching them be unknowingly stalked by him. Where if you're watching something like Hostel, it's like a bunch of, frat boy douchebags that are getting tortured. It's like, okay,
just
well,
archetypes.
Exactly. It's very, archetype. Good
word. You're not worried about the character. You're just like, all right, when's the gross thing gonna happen?
Exactly. Exactly.
I think Aja does a great job of that in the Hills Have Eyes remake too.
Yeah,
that one really got me when I saw it in the theater.
Sure.
And I've seen it since, and I still feel very strongly about it. I think you're right. There's something about that troupe that knows how to tap into the over-the-top violence, but still making it feel visceral and
because
not
all French extreme wave stuff caught that, right? I feel like is it Aja? Aja, though. For some reason, he felt like he fucking nailed it to me.
Yeah.
Like most of his stuff, because I think Inside is probably the best French extreme wave movie I've seen.
I was going to do that one before I did this one, and I was like, I'm just going to go with Maniac.
We'll get to that someday. You can come back when we have beef against pregnant women. That one is so hard to just get up for. Like, it's Tuesday. I want to watch Inside.
Oh, yeah. That movie.
It's so... But again, that one has, to your point, that has like real meat and bone stakes that I perfectly understand. Whereas some of the French extreme wave, when you get further from that, or the setting becomes too unique, like the people lost in the mansion, there's a ballerina doll upstairs. If the setting gets too goofy or the weapons get too goofy, you start seeing those chances to breathe because I'm watching a movie. I think one of the hardest things for horror movies is to get by that, it's not scary, it's fake. Well, yeah, motherfucker, all of these are fake. Certain movies find a way to harness the kind of mechanics and weapons of a horror film to feel real and dangerous. And I feel like those words get thrown around all the time for movies that don't warrant them. I think this one really does capture that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So this is the just one that really kind of, I hadn't seen anything like it. And in a while, and two, I kind of knew that Aja was a producer on it, and I had seen, I think his name is, I don't know if I'm saying it, Franck Khalfoun, maybe Khalfoun, whatever. He did that movie P2. I don't know if you've seen that.
I was just thinking of that
movie. Yeah,
he did that one too. I was about to bring up P2. Yeah. Man, that was a good era.
Yeah, so he did that one, and so it was just one. I mean, especially the kills in it, I thought were, sick. You get an Achilles heel cut in there, which made me cringe the other day when I saw it. Still, I was just like, geez.
I gotta say, so the thing this movie did that really fucked me up, I love that she stabbed him with the hand. I thought that was cool. Her getting into a stranger's car, immediately somehow grabbing the wheel and flooring it to where she can run him over with a hand sticking out of his heart, and she gets fucking sent through the windshield.
Yeah.
So you can be like, don't you get it? I want you to meet my mother. Still scalps her ass. That was wild. I was so unprepared for this movie's still going. Like, as soon as she stabbed him, I was like, cut to black. She runs away. She gets out. This is great. No, we're still going. There's still more bullshit.
Yep.
We still have to see all of his dolls come to life, rip his body apart. She's in a wedding dress. It's insane.
Yeah. Well, that ending calls back to the original.
Yeah.
That's what that's all about.
Yeah.
I didn't think this one had more in store for me. It felt like that was like a beautiful image to go out on, was the mannequin hand up to the sky. And it's like, here we fucking go. Here we go.
Yeah, the car crash too. The aftermath of the car crash was so just
whose lunch break just got ruined? Who was in that car?
Yeah.
Poor bastard.
Yeah, this one is one where everybody fucking dies. Everybody dies.
Yeah.
For the most part.
What do you make of this finale, though, right? What are you thinking as you see Elijah Wood's scenario, his trip, his vision, his dream come to an end? Because it seems like a year ago his mother died. He decided to keep the business going. something about his mother's death, that strong sexually repressed presence in his life, triggered all of this, right?
Uh-huh.
What were you thinking as you walked through the end, right? As we finally pull back and we watch him, this little gerbil of a man balled up in the corner, covered in blood. It's over.
Yeah.
What were you as the audience thinking as this whole journey hits its kind of summit?
I honestly, it really gave me felt like American Psycho vibes almost. Did this happen? Did this not happen? Did he
Is he gonna wake up? Yeah.
Did all of this, like, obviously he had murdered people, but was it like, were we watching like this romanticized version of these murders? Or what? It's like again, it's kind of ambiguous, where it's like, he has this vision of them tearing him apart, and that's ridiculously gory too.
I think that was so tragic. Did you think that image was so tragic? Because a lot of serial killers are played for it's this power. I'm going to destroy women, take back sexual masculine power from my mom and everyone else who has a pussy that I want. This one felt as like, even after he killed all these women, and he killed the woman he wanted to be his fake bride, this guy's fucking fantasy is that the women come back to life, overpower him, and reveal him to be a dickless action figure. I was like, that is so fucking pathetic and tragic. And not that I feel bad for him in any way, but I was like, oh, buddy, you need a therapy so bad.
Really is, like you said before, it's super fucking emo. You know what I mean?
So fucking emo, dude.
Super emo. They.
You could see if he just had the hair to whip out of his face. I mean, this is the most
all they
emo
needed
shit
to do
ever.
was play like "Welcome to the Black Parade" at the end of it, or something like that.
For sure.
Yeah, but no, I think it's like, it's kind of the and I don't know if this device, like, what the purpose of it was, but to me, it's like he was either trying to fight against this urge to murder these women, and now it's like, okay, I've got my comeuppance. But I think I think it's fitting, especially with the part where she's in the wedding dress, and then the whatever I'll call the theme song, or the score comes back on, and she just kind of looks at him, and she's getting ripped apart, and she just like kind of walks out of frame. I'm just like, okay, super emo, but yeah, it's like
super emo.
It's like if anybody were to kill me, I'm glad it was you, like that kind of thing,
Yeah, because he earlier in the movie had also seen himself as a dickless mannequin lower half. So there was some kind of like only for mom impotence that was afflicting this poor guy.
Yeah,
it's just it's fucking gross and violent. But I think you have to have that real kind of heart underlaying a film like this. Otherwise, it just becomes an exercise in, can you sit through it? It's like, brother, I can sit through anything, but why would I if I'm not enjoying it, right? And I do think the movie's operating at those extra storytelling levels that make it much better than some of its peers.
Right. And I mean, it doesn't, there's always like, there's these films that you watch, and you're watching them, and it's like, I don't feel like this is for entertainment purposes. Something feels a little bit
something is fucking gross, and I hate
what
it.
I mean? Yeah. Something's like,
or like,
okay,
who are you entertaining, and in what way?
right. And for this one, I think a lot of it has to do with the emotion, the score, just how stylized the film is. That
Elijah Wood, you can't help but want to like take care of him, right? Like he just looks so gentle,
right,
and empathy generating, right? Like you want to take care of this like fucked up guy. It's a weird bag. All right, we always got to end on this question, Robert. Heath, you got to weigh in here too. What's the most messed up moment in 2012's Maniac?
Oh boy, I'm. You know what? I'm just gonna go back to the. I'm gonna go back to the Freudian thing, and the part where she's hooking up with those dudes, and she like looks at him, and she goes like shh, and then the camera turns around, and then you see that it's like when you first see that he's a little boy. It's that part where she just kind of goes like shh. I would just like, and he just like backs away. I'm like,
if a hardworking mom needs to get railed in a threesome while doing a little toot, That's her prerogative. She's working hard. Don't let your kid watch. That's a line too far.
Right.
I'm all for moms having drug-fueled threesomes separated from their children's room. That is a wild moment in the middle.
Well, I think what it was is they were probably playing hide and seek, and he had just been hiding the whole time. So
apparently a lot of people were playing hide and seek in that room. From what the movie tells us, Heath, what was the most messed up moment in Maniac?
Oh my gosh, one moment, it's hard to pinpoint. I mean, it's just like, every kill has its own sort of just makes your skin crawl. I guess just I'm gonna cop out here and just say the Achilles heel. It just gets me every time. It's just so
Anytime you do
visceral.
an Achilles heel, that's the worst.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing in every movie. Pet Cemetery, I can't stand that shit ever.
Well, I think what makes that scene even worse is that she's wearing high heels.
Yeah.
And he cuts it, and then you
right.
hear the high heel. There's a sound design thing there where it's like you hear the almost. I don't think the heel breaks, but you hear like a, and you're just
dude, the sounds of that are brutal.
Yes.
Also, we kind of see him just start willy-nilly stabbing her, like he stabs her in the arm. Yeah. And then that's the first time the camera floats, and we kind of see him as a monster, not in POV.
That's a brutal fucking scene. For sure.
That one is. I think you guys got the two wildest. I'm gonna take a long shot here. When he first reveals, he comes home, he's stapling the women's hair to the mannequins.
Right.
So now he's got two mannequins, and he starts seeing them kind of become persons again. And he's kind of arguing. He's like, "Mom." He's like arguing with Mom, but she's not there. These two mannequins are here, and he's kind of looking at him. He's like, "Don't touch them. Don't get with them." Like, "Mommy, don't touch my mannequin sex murder icons." There's a scene when he leaves the room. He comes back, and I shit you not, the dolls have just shifted to where the one is clearly about to go down on the other. And I was like, that's such a small, specific set design decision to be like, this guy is so far gone, right? You thought the murdering was bad. Imagine what he's doing with these things between scenes. That is far more messed up than I think you would think on the surface level with all these kills. Yeah. Those little things in movies like this are the things that really sit with me, right? Really sink you deep into the murderer's POV.
Yeah, for sure. Very nuanced. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, what a wild ride. Thank you, Robert, for bringing this movie. It was actually awesome to rewatch it. Again, one that I will probably try to not watch again for a long, long time. But again, I do think it's very artfully done. I'm not an extreme horror person. Unless you're going to put in the extra work and earn that disgusting stomach churning thing from me, which this one 100% does.
For sure.
So would you like to tell everyone one more time where they can find you in the flick online? Thank you again for your time. This was a wonderful conversation.
Awesome. Thanks so much. I love what you guys do. Been wanting to be on for a while, so I'm glad that we got to do this. I am on Instagram, Robert_Slobbert999.
Every time it's funny.
Every time. And the film is Live, Laugh, Love. And we are at Live, Laugh, Love Movie on Instagram. And I
actually can't believe you guys got that title. With the amount of word art my mom has in her house that says Live, Laugh, Love, you must have Hobby Lobby parents finding your movie on accident all the time. Brilliant. All right, well, thank you guys very much. This has been a blast. We'll see you Friday for another filmmaker discussion. Go follow Robert and the Flick. We'll see you soon.